What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back with another Danmachi episode review. Today we're reviewing episode 9 of Season 4, and y'all, this episode was an absolute banger, in my opinion. This episode I would easily give a 9 or better out of 10. It was phenomenal. If you guys remember, last episode we ended where Belle had finally confronted Ryu, and Ryu was like, look, if you're going to stop me, if you're going to try to stop me, you are going to have a bad time. To obviously paraphrase. Like, straight up threatened him. And then, of course, we've got the werewolf guy, and you find out that not only, yes, did she cut off his arm and his ear, apparently those are long-standing scars. All that blood and everything on him is relatively recent. Also, you find out that the little explosive item that Belle was holding, apparently they brought those into the dungeon. That will come into play here in just a few minutes. So this episode was serious. 90% of this was a showdown between him and Ryu and Belle to a lesser extent. And then, obviously, the rest of the party with his entourage basically on the other side. So you have Cassandra, who is kind of dealing with the reality, like, this is a huge disaster. This is a major event, but is it really the event that she predicted, that was foretold in her dream? And towards the end of the episode, she begins to realize, she's like, this was too easy. This was not a disaster. This was like a light snack in comparison to what we're going to have to deal with. But before we get there, you do find out that, and again, I can't remember his name, the werewolf guy is, starts with an L. Anyway, so he's not important. I mean, he is important, but ultimately, like, you guys know, he's not going to have any kind of overarching results like past this arc. Like, he's just literally gonna be one and done, more or less, in this portion of the story. Now, in fairness, they do talk a lot about Evilus, and they do talk about the remnants of Evilus, and that they were carrying experiments on in the dungeon, and even they show like parts of Knossos where they still have these people are capturing monsters, and he even shows off this magical item that they have that they've been using to craft weapons and to craft things that can actually take some of the stronger low-level monsters, or say low-level, high-level monsters, low dungeon floor monsters, and then like with ease tame them. And he even says, like, I'm a master monster tamer. You really don't want to mess with me. And that's when he takes that big snake monster and just starts wrecking house. In fact, both he and the other werewolf dude, they've both got those basically, I mean, they're basically snakes, but they're just like, six-eyed sand snakes. So just imagine, like, just a snake from hell, pretty much is what it is. And he starts just wrecking everything. Like, they're ruining the floor, they're ruining everything. And obviously, Belle and Ryu are on a whole other level. So when it comes to the fight with Aisha, Lily, and the rest of the group, they're kind of outmatched by this monster. But Aisha comes up with a great plan. She has Haruhime use only 2 of the fox's tails and literally cast a level boost on Oka and on Welf. And that's literally just kind of enough to hold it at bay. And then Aisha deals the killing blow, and that is that. But that's really not that, because after they subdue theirs, and then obviously Belle and Ryu eventually subdue theirs, that's when you find out that, nah, this is only the beginning. This is the appetizer. And that's what Cassandra cues in on. She's like, this was too easy. This was not it. We have so much more in store, and it is going to be horrifying. And that's when you really start to, like, get an idea of what's going on. Like, Belle dispatched the monster with almost like a firebolt. Like, it was, yes, they had to wear down on it. It's both him and Ryu using the magic, and there's so much going on. But that's when all those explosive items go off, and They even talk about, they're like, hey, if you, like, in the eyes of the dungeon, that big room that they were in before, they're like, that to the dungeon is one big room. If you attack something in that room or attack the room itself, because, I mean, the dungeon does defend itself at some point, the dungeon is going to see that as an all-encompassing attack. And that's when the wall starts to give way and the eyes peer out. These things behind me. And everybody knows this is bad. And I'm not going to spoil too much for the people that are catching this in the anime, but those of you that have played the game, you hear where you mention Elise, and Evilus is mentioned several times. So I think for the anime only folks, I think we're about to get some really, really, really great backstory on the Estrella Familia. But that's all the further I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to drop any spoilers here. Please, guys, to those of you that are more adept with the light novels, please don't drop any light novel spoilers. The people that are watching the anime, let them get it organically, because I feel like what's coming soon is going to be nuts. I believe we've got, unless I'm mistaken, 2 more episodes in part 1 of this season. There's a lot of talks about there probably being a part 2 to the season, so we'll see what happens here shortly with this. But for now, guys, I was super hyped about this. The animation was on point. There were some lazy spots, but honestly, they still used a lot of motion. They used a lot of camera blur and effects like that. It was still like, that's the way I expect this to be utilized. I've harped on the last 3 seasons about how lazy some of the animation can get. In this season, I really feel like they've used a lot of camera techniques and 3D motion and things like that to really say cut corners, but cut corners in all the right ways to make things look good. So JC staff, love this episode. It was fantastic. The storytelling was phenomenal. The animation was phenomenal. Like I said, an easy, solid 9 out of 10. If you guys have differing opinion, you thought I was too harsh or too lenient on it, let me know in the comments section down below. I'm sure we're going to get plenty of people that said it was a 10 and plenty of people that said it was a 2. So let me know your rating, and I will catch you guys next week for episode 10 of Danmachi Season 4.